Hello, welcome back to the channel. So there are a lot of relics in the game right now, and most of them are pretty good, and have some characters that would at least want them, or at least some sort of use case for them. But there are also some that you kind of look at and are just like, why did they put this in the game? What was the point? So I wanted to look at some of the worst sets in the game, see why they are bad, and then see if there's anything that can be done to fix them. I don't know, I think the Hoyo is actually going to go back and fix them. Probably not. But, I thought this would just be an interesting thing to look at some of the old relics and just see why they're so bad. When I say relics, I'm referring to both normal relics and planar ornaments, because they're basically the same thing, you just farm them slightly differently, and it's just easier just to say one thing. So starting off with probably one of the more obvious ones is the fire set from 1.0. I don't even remember the name of the set. Even in 1.0, this set was bad. Like, the only reason you used it was because there was just no other option. The main problem is it's just outclassed in basically everything that it does. Like, increasing fire damage is okay. Like, a bunch of other sets do that, even one of the newer sets does that. But it's like, if you want skill damage, the new Scholar set is just better. And it also, increases ultimate damage as well. And the second effect only being for your next attack is so bad, because half the time, you just don't have a secondary effect. Like, at least on something like the Ice set, which does like a very similar thing, the buff lasts for 2 turns, instead of it just being for the next attack. So like, you would much rather just use something more consistent most of the time, If I were to change it, one, I would make the buff last for like, at least 1 turn instead of just like the next attack, but ideally for 2 turns, just like the Ice set. And also add an effect where if the enemy has burn on them, it increases the damage buff that you get by another 12%, to kind of give it more synergy with characters like Hook or Himiko, since that's only the characters that I could see working with this set, since we don't really have, like, most of the other fire characters already have other sets that they would rather use that are more specific for them, But moving on from that set, we have something that kind of has a very similar problem with the lightning set. It's not like the lightning set is even like that bad, it's more so just that like no character besides maybe like Serval would ever want to use this set over another set. Like, most of the Kafka already has the other dot set. Most of the characters like Jinyuan would rather just use like the follow-up set. Like, most of the lightning characters just have something else that they would rather use. To be honest, I feel like it would make more sense for this set to have the buff that increases skill damage. Maybe like 10% or something, since a lot more of the lightning characters rely on doing damage from their skill. Like, Kafka, Serval, those characters, they mainly do skill most of the time. So I feel like it would make more sense for it to have that. But besides that, I don't know, maybe increase the attack bonus, but I feel like if you increase it too much, then it might end up being too strong just because of how easy it is to activate. So I feel like just adding that skill damage effect would be fine. Would at least make it like an okay option. But moving on to like a set that is just like actually like, why did they make this, is the guard set. You probably forgot what this set even does, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame you, because like literally no character uses it. Like, the first effect is it reduces damage by 8%, which it seems like a fine effect, And at the start of your turn, if you have 50% HP or less, you restore HP equal to 8% of your max HP and regen 5 energy. That is so bad. Like the 2-piece effect is actually like okay for characters like, like Japard or like Preservation MC, but like the 4-piece, you would never want to run the 4-piece over like anything else. Even like the defense set, like, why would you just not use this? We could just use the defense set, It's like, first, like, you have to be at half HP or lower to even get an effect at all. And even if you get the effect, only restoring 8% HP is just not that good. You would rather just use a healer on your team. So what I would do is make it so that the first 2 times you are hit each turn, you restore 10% of your max HP and restore 5 energy. And if you are at 50% HP or lower, the effect is doubled. I feel like this would be pretty great on someone like Preservation MC, who wants to be like the main one being attacked, or even someone like maybe like Clara for survivability, though you would probably still want to just go for more damage her anyway. I feel like this makes way more sense as an effect, since it is just way more consistent, and it actually does something if you aren't at like 50% HP, Now, I just don't think other characters would rather use something else, but I do think this would actually make it an okay option now, instead of just being like, why would you ever want this, moving on from more like actual relic sets, since I feel like the rest at least have like some sort of use. Like, you know, the wind set is pretty good if you're trying to do like some zero cycle stuff. We're gonna look at the planar ornaments, which has probably the worst set in the game with the celestial set. It's like the devs were intentionally trolling people with this set. Like, you get enticed by a good effect, and then you realize just how awful it actually is. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what it does, it increases your crit damage by 16%, which is, you know, a pretty fine effect. That seems pretty good. But when you are at a 120% crit damage or higher, when you enter battle, you get 60% crit rate increase for your first attack only, and then you just don't have an effect after that. So, after your first turn, you basically just don't have a planar ornament set. And to be honest, I feel like this thing is even worse because it's a planar ornament set. Because if the first effect was just like a 2-piece effect on a normal relic set, I feel like they could actually be like decent on a lot of DPSs. Like, you know, I could see like some characters using that, especially even like someone like Sparkle, who just wants to get as much crit damage as possible. But since it's a planar ornament set, it just takes up the entire slot so it's like, why would you just not something that does something throughout the whole battle instead of it just only being the first turn? Because you're almost never going to just one-shot something in like the first turn, especially in Starl, because you can't like, you know, guard or something to like keep the buff. You have to attack if it becomes your DPS's turn. So like, why would you ever use this? And it's like, you can't really just make it like a continuous effect throughout the whole fight either, because then it would just be way too good. To be honest, I think the thing that would maybe make it a bit more fun is to add an effect where if you kill an enemy while the effect is active, then the effect gets reset. So as long as you keep killing enemies, the effect persists. I feel like this would give it like way more use cases, especially for something like Pure Fiction, where a lot of enemies just keep spawning, so you could just keep the effect up. And you know, this does add a bit more of like skill of deciding like if you can actually like, you know, kill the enemies to try and keep the effect up as much as possible. Now you might need to like lower the crit rate to like 50 or even like 40%, because it might be like too good if you didn't, but this would definitely like make it like a lot more interesting to use and actually have a use case for characters like maybe like Argenti or like Smallherda even. There definitely are like some other sets that I could talk about, but I feel like most of the other ones at least have like some sort of use case, or are just like good but just don't really have characters that synergize with it yet. Like the Tree Planar Ornament set is obviously for Hyacinth, but she isn't out yet, so there's not really anyone that uses it yet, you know? I do kind of hope that they do go back and change some of these old sets, because a lot of these are just like outclassed in like every way by the new ones. Now saying that, I do want them to like fix a lot of the older characters first before they do any of these kind of things, but I do think that fixing some of the old relic sets could kind of help some of the older characters as well. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.